it's Dale here. Today I'm going to just talk about a little process or some work that I did at one stage. One morning I went outside, and on our fence or on the pillar by our gate, someone had very nicely sprayed truffer in red. Well, red's quite a good colour to work with. I looked it up, and truffer in Italian means hoax or swindle, so I'm not sure if it was aimed at me or somebody else as the person was going past. We have some interesting people on our street. And I decided from that I would do some work called writing on the wall. I did a bit of drawing and thought about what I was going to do, and then I just went in and made a lot of different samples. I'm going to show you some of them today, not all. I made a little book in the end, and I wrapped it with a cord, not a machine wrapped cord, but this time using some thick silk thread, and I plaited it. So that's another sort of cord that's really handy to use, all in red, as you can see. And I put it all into a little book, and I used it was some hand-dyed fabric, and I stamped with a discharge paste, which I'm not going to tell you about today, but there's my word truffer. And to make that, I had a pre-felt, which I decided to use the background, and I painted Romeo, stamped with Lumiere paint, and you can see how the paint is nicely still stuck on there. This is a little, been around for a wee while. Stitched the truffer and put it into water and dissolved it, and then stitched the words back onto my surface, so it's quite a good thing to do. And then I did a variety of other things. So because I was working on a wall and a grid type structure, I painted onto Kuhn & Felt, and I stitched my words writing on the wall all over the place in truffer, you'll see. So there's the paint, and then because it's Kuhn & Felt, I was able to burn it out, and so this is my sort of wall of sorts. And I mucked around with a few other things, and I had some polyester black cotton, which there you can see I've stamped my wall grid, and I stitched truffer onto there. This back part I've done some twin needling, and I'll tell you about the other another day. And then I did a few other bits and pieces. I took my, I used wool felt, and wool, and I used my embellisher to scrunch it all together. And on the top I stitched onto Romeo my truffer, and I had some netting, and I stitched writing on the wall down in rows on the netting, and then let it wash out, so you get that sort of break up. But netting on top of Romeo is quite good to work on, to give you that free. You can see the black netting in there, and then I put it back onto the surface. Still mucking. This whole project has just been mucking around with ideas more than anything else. And I took my Kuhn & Felt. Kuhn & Felt, of course, burns so well. I did a little muck around with some metallic flakes and water-soluble casting, just to see how it would go. Stitched it, and I may have getting ready to start burning it. And then I took my soldering iron has attachments, letter attachments and little symbol attachments, and I put those onto Kuhn & Felt, just trying not to burn right through. Rubbed over the top with gilding wax, just to get that effect of that silver, red and black type of thing. I took another piece, and I stitched in those colours, and I printed truffer on here, and did a whole lot of hand stitching over the top, and used discharge paste. And then I took another one again, practicing writing, just thinking about ideas with truffer and so on. And to do all of this, I used assorted things. I collected up, these are even black table napkins that I've taken from somewhere, things that you might use. And I took a piece of Lutradur, and I stitched a long piece here about writing on the wall. So Lutradur will burn away when I finish with it, but I haven't done anything with that yet. And then I did a few other little things. I took some Tissue-Tex Abaca paper, and I printed sprayed it with black, and did a rubbing over a stencil with wax crayons, oil pastels, and then sprayed it so you get that lovely effect, similar to the other that I'm doing. Another one here on Tissue-Tex onto a background, just to try out some of these ideas. You can see another one here, just sort of playing with this and seeing how it might develop. And so then I've just done another little piece developing from this just as an idea. And finally there's a little truffer on another background that I've mucked around with. So I hope it's given you a few ideas. I'll come back and tell you a little bit more about this another day. Cheerio, see you again.